Welcome back. You're watching India Tonight with me, Ruchi, Bhatia. Now, e-commerce companies have already begun announcing the dates for their annual sales. And Redseer says that e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, and many others are expected to potentially clock over $9 billion of gross GMV during the festive season this year alone. What is going to be driving the festive season for some of the e-tailers? In conversation with me this evening on India Tonight is Ujjwal Chaudhry, the associate partner at Redseer. Ujjwal, appreciate you taking your time out and speaking with us today at ET Now. This is Ruchi, Bhatia. I want to first begin by asking you, what is going to drive the sales this time around for a lot of e-tailers?
Thanks, Ruchi. First of all, thanks for inviting me on the show. So I think if you look at the main theme that we are seeing for this festive season, right, it is that online is increasingly going mainstream. It is going mainstream for consumers. It is going mainstream for brands. And increasingly, we see online being the channel of choice for a large number of Indian population, right? And that is what we see as driving this particular festive season. So if you look at number of shoppers, right? So last year we saw around 50 million shoppers coming in just 1 week of sales, the first week of sales, which is the biggest event in the India online retail. This time around, we expect that number to be 70 million, 20 million more customers or 2 crore more customers coming online this year. So I think that is in a nutshell going to drive the festive season this time around, where we are going to see more and more customers. And the important part here is that online retail is increasingly becoming more bharat oriented or more tier 2 plus city oriented, and we are increasingly seeing a lot more tier 2 plus customers coming online and participate in this festive sales.
Right. So you're saying that Bharat will be driving the e-commerce sales in the upcoming festive season, as well as the accelerated digital adoption that we've seen is going to drive growth. Having said that, Ujjwal, help us understand the themes that are at play. Which will be the sectors that are going to make the most of the online sales? Traditionally, we have seen electronics doing very well. How do things really stack up this time around?
Sure. So I think this time we are seeing a very democratic growth across all categories. So of course, right. So when we talk about online, smartphones and mobile phones continue to be the biggest category in terms of GMV or value of goods sold. Right. So mobile and smartphones will continue to be the largest category, although the growth will be slightly lower than the overall growth, but they will still continue to be the largest. Electronics, we expect to grow in line with the overall online retail at around 30% year on year. And the difference is that increasingly, when we used to talk about electronics, we used to talk about a lot of large appliances. Right now, what we are also seeing is small appliances, home appliances, right? All of those becoming more and more online centric, right? So, whether it is geysers, whether it is washing machine, whether it is kitchen appliances like mixer grinder, right? A lot of these are now moving online, and a lot of people are increasingly buying those more. So I think within electronics, that slight shift is something that we are definitely seeing. Then talking about fashion and beauty products, right? So increasingly, what we see is in the last quarter or in the April, May, June period, when there was a lockdown, the demand for some of these products went down. And what we expect is that during festive, a lot of that pent up demand, right, where people were not buying earlier and beauty products have expired, or there is a replacement cycle which is coming up. So we will see a lot more of those happening, and it will be more than the overall, the growth will be more than the overall growth of the online retail. So definitely see, fashion and beauty products being faster than the overall theme, but mobiles will continue to be the largest driver in terms of value.
Right. Ujjwal, I also want to understand from you because this is really going to be the time when sellers would look to make the most of these online sales, because last year also pretty much was a washout, if I may call it so. I want to understand from you, does that really mean that discounts are likely to go down this time around?
Right. So I'll just break this question into two parts, right? So first of all, talking about sellers, right? So, in the last couple of weeks, we have been talking to 300 to 500 sellers pan-India, and we are asking them what is their, how do they look at the festive season this time around? And around 80% of them came back saying that they are very bullish about this festive season, and they definitely expect a very strong growth. They definitely expect a very strong growth compared to last year. And then the rest 28 odd percent, 22 odd percent were neutral, and 1 or 2% disagreed with this assessment. So we definitely see a very strong bullish sentiment among the sellers as well. Now, when it comes to discount, right? So I think when we used to talk about festive season 3 years back, 5 years back, discount used to be one of the biggest themes, and we used to talk about who has the best discounts, how it is increasing. What that has changed is there is a slight change in that narrative, where it has become more about affordability than discounts. And what that means is that today customers not just look at which platform has maximum discounts, but then there are a lot of bank tie-ups, for example, right? And we go out looking for which credit cards have the best offers during the festive season. So that becomes very important construct, and we'll see which platform comes up with the best offers and with which banks. The second one, which is also becoming important, is something we call as BNPL, which is buy now, pay later. Now, that construct has come up very aggressively in the last 1 year, and we see a lot of customers opting for buy now, pay later, where they can do that purchase now. And given during the festive season, a lot of people have very large purchases, so they don't have to worry about paying it right immediately. And there is either an EMI scheme, or you can settle that bill slightly later when you have more money in your account. So I think these are a couple of things which are very important from an affordability perspective. There is one more piece that gets less talked about, which is what online has done is it has given a lot of given birth to a lot of online first brands, right, which are not available offline, right? So these online first brands could be private labels, these could be direct to consumer brands as well. And the kind of growth we are seeing in these brands is just amazing. And that's why you see a lot of new models like Trashio kind of models, right? So coming up, which acquire some of these brands and help them scale up online. So I think this is another very important thing which has happened, which is also aiding in affordability. So if I can get the same kind of quality at a slightly lower price, then I would definitely go for that. And hence it makes it more affordable for me.
Absolutely. Having said that, that's very interesting perspective, Ujjwal, that you've given us, but also help us understand now that we are seeing kind of mobility come back. Offline sales are also set to pick up quite a bit. Could that really play a spoil spot as far as online sales are concerned, or will we see both of them moving hand in hand? And given the fact that consumption is increasing, we will see both online as well as offline doing better this time around.
Right. So, Ruchi, if we look at last year, right? So last year was a tough year in a lot of ways, right? People were not moving out, so there was less interest in buying a lot of different kind of products, which they would have in general. So, this time around, the good part is that the revival is broad-based. So both online and offline are going to increase. Now, one thing we have seen, which has happened post-COVID, right? So, we saw the large online growth last year, and we are seeing a reasonable growth, decent growth this year as well. So one thing which has happened post-COVID is that a lot of share of organized retail is actually moving online, while we see still a very strong resilience in the mom and pop stores, kirana stores, right? So, we definitely see this trend playing out where, some of the share of organized will, has gone online. But, if you look at the bigger picture, then, almost $80 to $90 billion is spent in this 1 month of festive season, and online is still only $9 billion, based on data. So, this is still only 8 to 10% of the overall spend. Rest 90% is still spent offline, right? So there is an opportunity for both offline and online to, continue growing, right? And that's what will, in our view, will happen.
All right, Ujjwal, many thanks for taking your time out and speaking with us. There you go. A big festive dhamaka is being awaited by a lot of online tailors, and this all thanks to accelerated digital adoption and rural Bharat driving the sales for e-tailers in this festive season.